Welcome back to the Racing Mind video series, where we journey deeper into the human mind than anyone has ever gone before. In this video series, we untangle the ancient mystery of mental illness and teach you what you need to know before your racing mind gets the best of you. This groundbreaking series provides answers to some of the deepest mysteries of the human mind and reveals, for the first time in history, the precise cause of mental and emotional illness and the psychophysiological basis of a wide range of psychiatric disorders and associated medical conditions. These educational videos, which present concepts that are so new that they are just beginning to make their way through the medical field, are based on thousands of hours of direct patient analysis and clinical observation in conjunction with the latest research on psychiatric disorders from around the world. In this segment of the series, we will discuss impulse control disorders in relation to neuronal hyperexcitability. As we have been discussing in this video series, the inherited trait of neuronal hyperexcitability can manifest in numerous different ways. One related group of disorders involves impulsive behaviors that are performed in relation to spontaneously occurring thoughts, feelings, and images. These so-called disorders of impulse control are named after the types of behavior that they involve. They include impulsive buying disorder, impulsive eating disorder, pyromania, kleptomania, trichotillomania, hypersexuality, pathological gambling, and intermittent explosive disorder. The observation that these disorders are exacerbated by stress and associated with a variety of other psychiatric disorders are indicators that they are rooted in the same neurophysiological abnormality as these other disorders, namely neuronal hyperexcitability. In disorders of impulse control, pathological hyperactivity in specific circuit loops theoretically induces the production of related thoughts, feelings, and images. As the activity in these circuit loops ramps up, the individual experiences an increasing urge to act on the related thoughts, feelings, and images in an effort to either amplify them or, conversely, reduce them, depending upon the desirability of the related emotions. Self-gratification is achieved to the extent that the thoughts, feelings, and images can be controlled. Although there are many factors that can promote excitation in the brain, intense or prolonged emotional stress is the most common promoter, thus explaining why the onset and exacerbation of symptoms in impulse control disorders is so closely tied to stress. What theoretically makes some persons more vulnerable to developing an impulse disorder is that they are born with an inherent hyperexcitability of their neurological system. The increased propensity of the neurons to discharge causes them to be both hyperactive and overreactive, the result of which is that the mind gets bombarded with more signals from the brain than it can fully process before the mind acts on them. From the perspective of the mind-brain duality of the cognitive emotional system, this is the phenomenon that underlies impulsivity. Lending further support to the hypothesis that impulse control disorders are rooted in a hyperexcitability of the neurological system is the observation that a large proportion of persons with impulse control disorders could also be diagnosed with ADHD, a condition that is defined by both hyperactivity and impulsivity. Because the thoughts, feelings, and images that are experienced by those with impulse control disorders are driven by spontaneous discharges from the brain, the thoughts, feelings, and images may not be intentional or even acceptable to the individual, yet because the brain is abnormally hyperactive, the thoughts, feelings, and images may overwhelm the mind's capacity to resist acting upon them. There may also be an element of temptation if the underlying neuronal hyperactivity involves circuits that drive feelings of pleasure and excitement. Whether the mind's intent is to reduce uncomfortable feelings or, conversely, increase pleasurable ones, the plenitude of thoughts that are vying to be processed may not allow enough time for the mind, in conjunction with the brain, to fully process or think through the potential consequences of the behaviors being contemplated. What determines which, if any, Impulsive behaviors a person will perform would depend upon a combination of factors, including the person's past experiences, the person's likes and dislikes, and the person's attitude. Among these factors, however, the most influential tends to be the constellation of brain circuits that are being activated in the hyperexcitable brain at any point in time. Education about the cause of impulse control disorders is of critical importance because many of the associated behaviors can have serious consequences for both the individual and for society. For example, pyromania, which is the impulsive desire to set fires, can cause extensive property damage and endanger lives. Kleptomania, which is the impulsive desire to steal, can lead to fines and imprisonment. And pathological gambling, which is the impulsive desire to acquire fast money, can lead to financial ruin and the dissolution of the family. As discussed in previous videos, the most effective natural ways to compensate for the gene abnormality that underlies neuronal hyperexcitability include stress reduction, establishment of an early sleep schedule, regular exercise, enjoying a relaxing hobby, avoiding caffeine and other psychostimulants, and minimizing refined sugar. If these interventions are either too difficult to implement or fail to yield satisfactory improvement, then treatment with neuroregulators and other brain calming medications may be necessary, particularly during high-stress periods in the person's life. Control your brain, control your life. We hope that you are benefiting from this video series. Portions of this video and others in the series were taken from the books The Racing Mind and Am I Depressed or Am I Bipolar? Those interested in developing a deeper understanding of this topic can also refer to the scientific publication, The Multi-Circuit Neuronal Hyperexcitability Hypothesis of Psychiatric Disorders. Please note that these materials in this video series are for educational purposes only and are not intended to guide treatment without formal evaluation. This video series is sponsored by the Binder Foundation, a charitable organization that is dedicated to the enhancement of human life through research and education on disorders of the mind, body, and spirit. If you have found this video to be of benefit to you, please share it with your family and friends. And please don't forget, your feedback is important to us.